Let me bring you back up to speed. So yesterday we finished with the duals, but we wanted to widen the front out. It is June 27th today. We have not cut one blade of grass. Hey, welcome back to Ohrmundt Simmentals. This is Chris. All right, it is Monday afternoon, and I've got to buzz out and move the cows because we got kind of a spotty thunderstorm line coming through, and then we've got another line coming through later that's supposed to be worse. But I want to get out there and move the animals before we get our next run. And oh, that's right, I was going to grab the mineral feeder on my way out there. All right, so we've made it out here. After 2 days, these cows really did they beat up this crossing a little bit more than I thought they would, to be honest. It was so hot, they spent a lot of time sitting in that crossing because there's water there. Now, I'm just kind of checking out our pad here, which honestly, this is what it looks like. Now I'm gonna be real honest, this isn't bad. Like, yes, it does look chewed up out here, but this was very wet. But where I'm standing right here, and you can see some of the remnants of rock and stuff, that's actually a lot better than I thought it would be. As much time as they spent pounding around the water and right over here in this mud hole. But the whole purpose of moving them down this way, it's kind of like if you're grazing through a creek. You want to move them going downstream, so that you're not always churning up the mud. You always have good water coming down. So you want to work your way downstream versus working your way upstream. And that'll clean itself out, and I think that's better than it was last year. But because of the heat, that's why they wallowed in there a little bit. It's not great, but it'll come back better than it did last year. And honestly, we can find a little bit of dirt and we can fix some of that up too. All right, new fence. We're heading straight that way. Yeah, unfortunately, with the weather and the heat, these guys had access to some mud. They got muddy. So hopefully with the temps being a little bit cooler, things will get a little nicer. Today's a little bit, I think it's dropped actually 3 degrees since like noon today. Let me bring you back up to speed. So yesterday we finished with the duals, but we wanted to widen the front out. Well, we think the front, the tie rods especially, they were in their original location, or at least a spot that they've been in for probably 15 to 20 years. So unfortunately, the fresh paint job was no more. We had to heat this up and then put a pipe wrench on here to twist it to break it loose. But we've already both talked. We're gonna clean this up and we'll get paint on there again. So even if it's just with some good old Rust-Oleum. Actually, I like the Rust-Oleum John Deere paint. Turned out pretty good the last time I used it. It was just on a lawnmower, but whatever. So now we got the other side. All right, so that side was much better, and I'll give you a little update in a bit. But when we raised it up, we noticed that the wheel bearing on that side could get tightened a little bit. So that's what we're going to work on now. Just have to find the proper tools. All right, so tap a tap. There we go. Look at that. Got the perfect size wrench.
So I'll do that. I'll do this.
Yeah, it's like tight right now. Alright, so we got this thing set. We rolled it back a little bit so we could shut the door. But yeah, we'll have to get a little paint on that. Not super worried about the axles. Maybe here a little bit, but this side went way, way better. And then tightened up the wheel bearing here. So that only took like 3 times longer than it was supposed to. So, but now we want to widen the 29 back out because we had narrowed it up thinking we were going to plant corn with it 2 years ago or last year. I can't remember which. So I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Hey, how's it going? All right, Tuesday afternoon. What we're going to start out doing today is we're going to grab a fresh bale for the steers. Their bale's gotten a little old. It's got a lot of rain on it. So we're going to get them a fresh one and then ground feed. Then we're going to head back down to the shop. We are crossing our fingers though that potentially either today or tomorrow morning that the co-op swings through us and sprays our corn, because if we get 2 or 3 inches of rain, it's going to be like a week or 2 before they'd be able to spray it. So it'd be really awesome if they get it done either yet today or tomorrow morning. All right, so let's take a look at this guy. I got to take the 1411 off because we still have it hooked up because we're, you know, still hoping we could cut. All right, so after reviewing the 2940, we don't have to widen the tires. I don't know if we figured on a dimension last year and then put them back, whatever, but we don't need to widen them. So we're going to look at doing something we were talking about a while ago, and that's swapping out batteries because this guy needs them. $2017.
17? 8 years old.
They look brand new. All right, so yeah, these batteries are from 2017, so they're probably due for a change. The one really nice thing about getting at areas like this you don't ever get to is now I can clean out some of this garbage. All right, batteries are out back of Dad's truck, so tomorrow he can make a fleet run and grab a couple batteries. All right, it has been raining for most of the day, well, half the day, and right now we have about a ½ inch of rain already. A lot of standing water out here, so this is a perfect time to move them. I'm getting soaked, but I had to move them. So finish setting up the fence and I'll be back in a sec. All right, got the back line picked up. This is the only spot that was really kind of muddy, but that's really not that bad. You can still see the grass in there, so I think once this rain gets out of here, this will come back pretty decent. So now they're going to this corner right here over to here. So, and that's a natural kind of drain actually off of that field there and whatever is pooling up here. So yeah, everybody's pretty happy. Got plenty of grass, a lot of good grass out there. So we're gonna call it a day because I'm soaked. So are they, but they're built for it. Hey, how's it going? Thursday afternoon. Steers got their grain. So now we are gonna head down to the shop, and Dad got batteries yesterday for the 29. And we're gonna throw those in. Didn't do it yesterday because yeah, it rained all day. Got another 1.5 inches of rain, so that's awesome. Got another line of storms. They're talking, there we go. They're talking like another inch to 2 inches tonight. So that's awesome. Not really, because our corn has not been sprayed yet, and that really sucks, because the weeds are definitely coming. We've been on the list for 2 weeks, I think. So let's get down there, throw those in. All right, now for the moment of truth. Let's see how this girl starts up here. Hey, how's it going? Happy Friday. All right, we are heading out to move the cows, and I've got my grass trimmer with me. The chunk they're going on to is the furthest south part of the east strip, if that makes any sense. And there's a section that's really tall marsh grass, and part of that goes right where the fence is. It gets really tall, and I like to trim that grass, 1, for the juice, 2, so the cows see it. So we got to get that done before we let them in there. All right, so I always start in this one corner down here, because it's obviously kind of in the middle. But what I'll start out by doing is, when we get really tall grass, I mean, this is like, some of this stuff is like up to my chin, up to my eyes. You get really tall stuff, I'll run the four-wheeler right along the line first. 1, to give me a nice place to walk, but it just kind of runs everything down, and I can start cutting from there. But I gotta at least get this tall section here. It's about maybe 15 yards. Not as bad up there, but then I want to get this stretch here. There's actually a stretch down there. I got to fix the wire. It got popped off. All right, so let's fire this up. I got plenty of gas, and then we'll start trimming this up. Those guys really beat the heck out of the section right next to the ditch over there. I didn't really think they were going to do that much damage, but we have had 2 inches of rain the last 24 hours. So, well, actually in the last 48 hours, we've had 2 inches of rain again. All right, so I'm pretty much done in this corner. So we've got this trimmed out, and then I've got new ribbon on the top until it gets a little brushier over there, and that's a nice natural barrier. Going back this way, got this bottom line fixed, and starting to put new ribbon on the top line here. So I'm gonna pick up my roll of tape and finish the rest and get them on here, because I'm sure they're pretty anxious to get on here. But this is all like Reed Canary. It loves wet areas. Some of that stuff is like 6 foot tall, because I'm up from like this area. It goes down in here. So when we let them in there, the cows really won't know where they're going. That's why I like running a path down with the four-wheeler. So like 4 feet before they get to the line, all of a sudden it opens up and they can see it. Let's see how this goes. This area is beat up pretty bad, but it doesn't go too far, not as far as last year. So we're still improving. This is our sacrifice area. So we'll let them in here, and we've got a lane here. That I'm not worried about. That stuff, not worried about any of that. That'll come back. Whether it comes back good this year, next year, it'll be fine. That's still way better than last year. But these guys got about 20 yards, 15 yards, and then that fence bends to the right. They got a lot of space here. A lot of space, a lot of grass. They should be happy. You can kind of tell how tall some of that grass is, and you can see all the ribbons, so there should be no issues with visual. Should not have any problems. Now they should be able to do an easy 2 days here, and then we got one last chunk there. You can definitely tell how yellow the corn is getting from all the rain. It really sucks. We need some dry weather, and I mean like dry weather, like a couple of weeks of dry weather. It is June 27th today. We have not cut one blade of grass for hay. We have not cut one blade of hay yet. So that kind of sucks. So it is just, we're ending up just like last year. Right now, all we can worry about is what these guys are doing. They have got great grass in this chunk. It's a little tall. Is it starting to get a little bit mature? Yeah, but they'll eat 95% of this. All right, give you a little rundown of what we finally have come to with the 44. I gotta do a little more vacuuming in here, I think. So don't mind this. I'll explain all of that. So you might have seen it already. Dad wanted the chopper monitor in here. I did protest a little bit on that, but whatever, he's the boss, he can decide. This is where we put the monitor for this. Now, well, what Dad wanted is he wanted it to be easy to see but also easy to touch. We had kind of thought about putting it over here on the ledge, but then it is a little bit far away, and the further we run the monitor this way, the more it gets in the way of the handle, which, you know, if you had the power shift, probably wouldn't be an issue. The other thing we did do, because what we were noticing is that this angle was flexing a lot, so we cut two little chunks of angle here to screw it here and bolt it here, both on one on each end. So that did stiffen that up quite a bit. And then what we did, so this is a ram mount. This is only the 1-inch ball, and I think that might have been part of our problem for why this was still kind of bouncing a little bit. Dad had this as tight as he could possibly get it, and it would still kind of move around a little bit. So he did just kind of say, screw it. That's propped up there because the two joints are JB welded. So we're going to let that dry and see how it holds. Maybe it's kind of a dumb idea, but if it's where we like it, then it's fine. If it's not, the parts aren't super expensive. And if I would have to reorder anything, I would reorder the 1.5 inch. I thought I was getting the same size as the other monitor, the corn planter monitor, but apparently not. So if I would ever have to actually reorder those ram parts, I'm going to get the 1.5 inch versus the inch. So it's the bigger size. I'm sure you'd have more grip with that, and it'd be a better fit for this monitor. And there's probably other things we could do if we just thought about it and decided, maybe did a little bit more fab work, I guess. So, and actually I could plug it in, but another little JB project we did was this guy. So this is our monitor for our backup camera, which I bought on Amazon for like $50, and it ain't bad. Pretty easy to install, and it's cheap, and it looks nice. So we had always had it suction cupped to the wall here, but what would happen is that suction just gets a little bit, there's pretty big radiuses on here, so the suction would work really well for about 6 months, and then it would either get really hot or really cold, and then it would fall down. So I thought, you know, get me the same kind of magnet that's on the bottom of the base of what I usually use for my camera. And I mean, I can basically do that and it just hangs there. It's pretty sturdy. I mean, I can do that with the camera and it doesn't go anywhere. If you have the surface area, it sticks pretty darn nice. So you can order these things for like $5, one of these little magnets. And I just figured, you know what? I'm going to take the suction cup off, which we did, and I'm just going to JB weld it to the bottom of this platform. And now we can just stick it on here. It has plenty of surface, and now we can kind of put this guy wherever we want. All right, well, it is Friday. It is the end of the day, so we're going to call this the end of the video. Maybe a little bit shorter, but, you know, when you're dancing between the raindrops, a lot of raindrops, it's hard to really accomplish stuff. I hope you guys like the video. Please hit that thumbs up button. And if you got any questions, please leave them in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe. Help us get to our goal of 2,000 subs. And as always, thanks for coming along.